But there was a story that one year an Indian shaman came to live and he built a pit and it had sticks over it, and that's where he lived. So who knows? But either way, he was probably in the archery. So I've been shooting a bow for 52 years now. Yeah, I started at 13. My dad got one for his birthday. My mom bought him this Browning 45-pound recurve. And he shot it a few times. Well, I was out in the woods trying to build bows out of sticks, and they're bending over, they're not consistent. And my dad says, you know, he said, it's under the bed, just go take it, go shoot it. And it came with a set of arrows, which were brown, kind of like these actually. There was 6 practice arrows and 6 hunting arrows.
Wow.
And I practiced every night with that bow after school and went deer hunting and shot at a big buck and missed it, you know, later that year. But at 13, I was like, man, this is what I'm going to do. Moved to Alaska, and then it seemed like everything was 250, 300 yards, so I bought all the high-powered rifles with scopes and, you know, and did that for a number of years, made some long shots on animals and enjoyed that. But the day came along when something was missing emotionally from my hunting experience, and I realized I had to return to archery.
Charlie Ess is an all-around Renaissance man. He's a poet, a writer, a filmmaker, and he's a dear friend. Every time I'm back up in Alaska, I try and make time to swing in and see him. So a few weeks ago, on my way home from a pretty lengthy job, I stopped in at his house for some coffee and conversation, which quickly turned to the topic of a longbow that he had built. And inspiration struck, and I said, you know what, Charlie? We need to make a video out of this. And so we did. Hope you like it, folks. This one's special.
And these are kind of lighter arrows, so they'll go through a deer. They weigh about maybe 450 grains, and there's 7,000 grains in a pound, but those wooden ones are close to 700.
Oh, wow.
So they plow through a big bull moose, you know, with this kind of poundage. So, it's a good angle for you.
This is great. I think I'm safe here, huh?
You are, definitely. The emotion, every bow hunt, whether you can get a shot at an animal, because you're out there in such intimate terms, is you come home, you're just wrung out. Your nerves are wrung out, but in a good way. That it's not like fatigue and commuting. It's like, it's a different kind of a, it's romantic. It's everything you'd want it to be.
It's sort of primal, I guess.
It is, and you got to be so quiet. And there's something about sneaking around the woods and trying to be silent, and then self-criticizing yourself for stepping on a stick. Or there's this perfection, you know, even to the hunt where you don't see anything. And so
I mean, you have to get a lot closer with a bow, right? And especially a recurve.
Yeah, and this is actually a longbow, which I tried one before I built it. My hunt doesn't begin until 50 yards. So a lot of times I'm just observing animals, you know, and that's all good too. You know, grouse land in trees by me, or birds sit on, chickadee lands on my hat. You get this nature experience, and you're really that animal that's got that. The death odds for that animal are pretty darn low. They get within 20 yards, we got a game, you know. And I mean, it's interesting too, because seeing a bull caribou at 200 yards means nothing. You got to close that distance, and that can be exciting sometimes. But when there is no distance to close because it's such barren ground, you know, you're just going to sit down and enjoy that animal. That's where your day is going to go. And I put the bow on top of my head like antlers, and I can get up to about 80 yards to some of them because they don't quite know what I am. And I'm out in the open. There's not a blade of grass taller than my ankle. And I'm just out there and just having a great time with these bulls, you know. And, yeah, right there.
Yeah, that's film talk, all right?
Yeah.
I hope these turn out.
This is the other thing too that really intrigues me is, yeah, there's caribou, and there's a big flat open places, but there's also places where caribou go where there's alders or willows, and you can hide behind there. And that's primordial. That the old time hunters did not go out in the middle and just start arcing arrows into the, you know. They had setups, and I always call it the setup. It's where you find a crossing or a trail or an animal's coming, and you head them off and get into the cover to get the shot. That's how I got the moose. And when?
That's the shot.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's awesome. You got to get the angles.
Yep.
And go ahead.
Oh, for fun.
I like a 10-yard shot, of course I hope for that, but I do practice all the way out to 40 for caribou, and I passed up a 40-yard shot this year. I just didn't feel good about that. 25, yeah, you know, and then you have that ethical thing about, why am I doing this? Is that, you know, is this in the best interest of the animal, and conservation and kindness and no suffering? And
Well, tell me about those hunting ethics. Are you hunting because you want a big animal? Are you hunting for
nope,
food?
that I just now want the experience of the bow hunting, and if they come along, I'm going to get a shot, and if they don't, my days are measured equally. They really are. I mean, like I say, coming back to the car or coming back home here when I hunt right out of the house, I'm just wrung out, you know, just in a very, very good way. It demands so much concentration. I pray a lot when I'm out there. It's meditational. It's all get out. I enjoy every hour bow hunting, you know. There's all kinds of different hunting ethics and pursuits. Some people want the big antlers, but here it's like we want a nice tasting animal, you know, a tender moose. Now we wouldn't not shoot a big one. We'd take anything that came along, because hunting these days, that you got to do that. You have such thin odds of success that the conservation is there, it's in place. Your percentage chance that you're going to get a shot. And so there is the reality that I may never take another animal in my life, but I'm willing to play those odds. Yeah, so I probably have like at least 300 hours into this thing. Ken Bowman has been building them for about 25 years, and he's probably built, I'm going to guess just from what's around his shop, maybe 100 bows.
Wow.
And the cool thing is, my wife Cheryl met him, and he knew I was into bow hunting, and she knew that I was contemplating moving to a longbow. I was going to buy a production one. You can buy them from companies for $1,200, $1,300. And she said, hey, you better go talk to this guy. He builds longbows, and he likes to build them with people. That's interesting. I thought, well, would I be part of a class with 200 people every Saturday for 2 months? Or I went to talk to him. He says, no, just come over to my house at night. I got a shop, and we'll just build it, you and me. And,
Perfect.
yeah, it was so intimate, because rather than, I mean, it wasn't that I demanded all of his attention, but I knew that with that arrangement, we were going to do more than build a bow. It was going to be, he shared so many stories. He's taken many animals with a bow. I've only taken a couple. Mm-hmm. And he had so much expertise on, this is why you do the string this way. And the peripheral stuff I gained was like I went to like a bachelor's degree in bow hunting with this guy.
Does it, that's amazing, Charlie. Does it feel different drawing that bow, knowing that you put all those pieces together?
Yes, there is this pride that it didn't snap. They can still break when you string them up for the first time. That it works. It shoots very smooth. It shoots fast. It shoots well. And so there's that confidence and happiness that I stepped up to the longbow. And then there is the workmanship. He said, you're going to spend all your time in the woods looking at this workmanship on the slow days. But shaping this riser and getting things right so the arrow flies off it was hours and hours and hours. And he said to me, Ken did, he said, if you're in a hurry, this isn't the part you'll like, because it's going to take you a while to get that to fit your grip.
Oh, wow.
And I spent one day, and then I wasn't sure about it. I said, Ken, I don't even know if I like this. And he said, well, just set it down and come back, And so I did. This part here had to be radiused. He taught me about that. This part has to be radiused. I knew that. Mm-hmm. But there's just a lot I didn't know. It pulls 61 pounds.
Holy cow.
And that's, like I say, I shot 77 pounds for years. I shot 67 for years. And when I built this, I said, I'm going to be looking at my 70s here eventually. I'm 65 now, basically. And I want something that I can carry through the years, so I have to drop down again, And there's some longevity there. I still feel strong. And it shoots, like I say, I shoot it every day, and sometimes I'll shoot 60, 70 shots with it.
good enough for a bear or a moose.
I make my own strings. The silencers are actually, you take short bits of paracord and you put them within the weave of the string, and they're a little stiff paracord. But after you shoot it a few times, they all fray out naturally like that, and that deadens the sound of the string.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you're not going to alert the animal any more than you need to.
Yeah, that's the thing. A quiet bow, your arrows are moving small enough, or slow enough, I should say, that like a white-tailed deer or something can actually get out of the way of the arrow, unless you're very, very close. So a silent bow gives the advantage if they don't maybe know quite what that was. It's not quite as alarming, and then the arrow is halfway to them. So the arrows are quite something. I don't know if these are, usually you can, shave some here. But they, when I get them ready for hunting, they just, that's why this arm is, the hair is growing back now from hunting season compared to this one. Because I just shave them, and if I go out and they get a little bit of raindrops on them, they can rust. So I sharpen them with PAM, the spray oil, or else olive oil. I sharpen them with olive oil because these will go into meat, and I don't want some kind of a synthetic or petroleum going into the meat. So that's the trick I've learned over the years. But these are actually the heads I shot a moose with. The same head, the same kind of wooden arrows. I buy the cedar shafting, and then I take various stains and I'll stain them here, and then the line is kind of rough, so I spin them in an electric drill and take fingernail polish and do that, and then I make maybe some different marks. I actually cut the feathers in pieces to make a little bit of a color scheme.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Sometimes I make them different colors for different things in the year. These were just, I wanted to do a set of brown ones last spring, and so I did these, and wanted some yellow so it shows up good in flight in the dark, like evenings. And I primarily made these for shooting grouse and birds, upland game. It's kind of brushy and dark in there, and you're in the Devil's Club and stuff. So I wanted a lot of yellow on the back end of them. I do carry a handgun for the bears in case one would happen to get too close. And it's nice to have too, because sometimes I have more fear of a big cow moose than any bull moose. Even if they don't have a calf, they can be very defensive and very territorial. And,
yes.
I have set some cows up, like, it was raining one night, and I'd gone through this meadow and stood by a spruce tree, and I had put my bow in the spruce tree so it was ready, and I had maybe hung a piece of clothing on there. So I decided, well, the wind is switching, I'm going to get away from that, and that tree is now poisoned with my scent. All of a sudden it starts raining. So I go into this giant spruce, I'm just totally in the shade, and I put my bow down, get the arrow ready, and now there's a trail that goes right by me on this side too, 7-8 yards away. And all of a sudden this big cow comes up out of this grassy dip. I'd never seen her there before. She's within 20 yards to start with. Boom, she's right in front of me. She walks over, and she's still getting my scent off that tree across the clearing, so her head's turned, and she's like from here to the camera. I'm going, oh, when she sees me, what is going to happen? So I didn't pick up the bow because I can't shoot a cow moose anyway, so I didn't pick up the bow. I just kind of grabbed my handgun.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and she finally, her head swung around, she looked at me, and I just whispered, I'm not going to hurt you. And she looked at me, and then her ears, and then she just blew off.
Wow,
that's
close.
But I mean,
she's going to close 20 yards pretty darn quick, man.
Well, she was like from here to the camera.
Yeah.
I mean, she was going to be on me with the hooves, but she didn't. She was a young, and I saw her many times later that season. Mm-hmm. And it turns out she had sort of a tame demeanor. I mean, so that's the thing about bow hunting is there's particular animals that sometimes you see and they're not legal to shoot, but you're out there with them, and because you're going to be intimate, they'll come up pretty close to you and stuff, and you get to enjoy that. So.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
There's a black bear den in back of here, and I always say, I'm going to go get it in the spring when it comes out of the den. And I've watched it a number of years. It has to be like right around the 1st of May, and that's late for a den for them to be popping out. They're usually out in April. But I'll go over to my bow, and I'll sit there, and some years I see the bear, and some years it sees me and goes back in the hole, and I don't have a chance of a shot. And I'm okay with that. If it happens, it happens. There's sort of a serendipity to it all.